We are looking at silent treatment in marriage. When silence, or rather the refusal to engage in a conversation, is used as a control tactic to exert power in a relationship, then it becomes silent treatment, which is toxic, unhealthy, and abusive. But if being silent means simply taking time out to think things through, then address the issue later, then that is not the same thing. There are also instances when a victim of abuse is silent as a way to stay safe and keep an already abusive situation from escalating. In this situation, the victim knows that saying something, even if their partner demands it, will only escalate the situation and lead to more abuse. So when one partner is engaging in name-calling or other forms of verbal abuse, the person on the receiving end is not required to engage with that person. In fact, it is completely reasonable and healthy to erect a boundary or remove yourself from such an abusive situation. Staying silent during an abusive situation is not an example of a silent treatment. Rather, it is a form of self-preservation. So, in general, silent treatment is a manipulative tactic that can leave important issues in a relationship unresolved. It can also leave the partner on the receiving end feeling worthless, unloved, hurt, confused, frustrated, angry, and unimpatient. When one or both partners support or refuse to talk, they are exerting a cruel type of power in the relationship that not only shuts out their partner but also communicates that they do not care enough to try to communicate or collaborate. People use silent treatment to control the situation or conversation. They also use that as a tool to avoid taking responsibility or to admit wrongdoing. For instance, if you're upset that your partner comes home late most nights, you may start a conversation where you express your feelings and try to determine why your partner is habitually late. A partner who doesn't want to accept responsibility for hurting you or simply doesn't want to acknowledge or change their behaviors might respond by saying, "I'm not talking about this." Or they may simply say nothing at all and ignore you altogether. The refusal to talk is different than asking to postpone the conversation and pick up later, which indicates the issue will be discussed at a time that is more convenient for both partners. Silent treatment is a flat-out refusal to ever discuss the issue, now or later. In other words, their silence deflects the conversation and communicates that the issue is off limits. When this happens, the person on the receiving end of the silent treatment continue to wrestle with their pain and disappointment alone. There is no opportunity to resolve the issue, to compromise, or to understand their partner's decision. Consequently, they are often left feeling hurt, unloved, dissatisfied, and confused. And the funny thing is that the issue will not go away simply because one partner refuses to discuss it. It will continue to fester and eat away at the relationship. Eventually, these festering issues can become too much and may even lead to the divorce. If you have ever found yourself in a situation where someone is giving you the silent treatment, it can be a little unnerving. They may refuse to talk to you or even acknowledge your presence. Sometimes remaining silent can be a positive thing, especially if it keeps people from saying things that they might later regret. Other times, silence is an unhealthy reaction to something upsetting, but with time, the silence subsides and the couple is able to work out some sort of resolution. Sometimes, too, silence evolves into silent treatment and becomes a pattern of destructive behavior. When this happens, it becomes a control tactic that is emotionally abusive. People who use silent treatment as a way to gain power or exert control in a relationship will use the silent treatment to put you in your place, give you the cold shoulder for days or weeks at a time. Refuse to talk, make eye contact, answer calls, or respond to texts. Fall back on the silent treatment when things don't go their way. Use it as a way to avoid taking responsibility for bad behavior. Punish you with silent treatment when you upset them. Require you to apologize or give in to demand just so they will talk to you. They will refuse to acknowledge you until you grovel and plead. They use silence as a passive-aggressive way to control your behavior. For example, to give in to demands. They use silence when you attempt to assert yourself by refusing to talk. They can use it to communicate disdain or contempt in order to maintain the silence. They can use it to resort to anger and hostility to shut you up. Or they can use it as a primary means of dealing with conflict. When the person using the silent treatment takes away the ability to communicate and to collaborate with you, the person on the receiving end will often go to great lengths to restore the verbal aspect of the relationship. This allows the silent person to feel vindicated, powerful, and in control, while the person on the receiving end feels confused and maybe even afraid of losing the relationship. What has happened here is just that the silent person has successfully flipped the situation. The conversation is now about appeasing them and not the real issue at hand. The real issue is often lost in the struggle to regain equilibrium and communication in the relationship, while the issues remain unresolved. And when this pattern of behavior happens on a regular basis, this becomes both toxic and abusive. Researchers have found that the silent treatment is used by both male and female to terminate a person's behavior. In abusive relationships, the silent treatment is used to manipulate the other person and to establish power over them. Silence is used as a weapon to cut off meaningful conversations, stop the flow of information, and ultimately hurt the other person. In fact, research shows that ignoring or excluding someone activates the same area of the brain that is activated by physical pain. So when this happens, the other person feels unloved, unworthy, and keeps wondering what exactly is happening or how can I deal with it? What am I supposed to do in a situation like this? Why is silent treatment so damaging? Silent treatment can be damaging not only to the relationship but also to the person experiencing it. Narcissists often use the silent treatment as a weapon and can cause the victim to experience self-doubt and issues with self-worth. Things said while someone subjects their partner to silent treatment are damaging. This includes saying things like, "I don't want to discuss it further," where the one partner feels there is no point in continuing the conversation. They believe that no constructive discussion will come out from either party's mouth. They feel their anger reaching its boiling point and might say things they both could regret. So they are using silent treatment to cool off and step away from the situation. It could also be a just drop the mic, I'm not interested. This silent treatment flavor means that one party has nothing to say about the topic. The other party has to either deal with it or do what they want and suffer the consequences. This applies when the partner is discussing a particular decision and one partner has already given their stand. You feel that, so listening to the other person's point of view is ignored. So this becomes more like giving an ultimatum. Or what you could be communicating during or using silent treatment could be, "You are an idiot, shut up." This is also an ultimatum. It's a combination of the first two. This happens when one partner wants to walk away and stay away from the other party before things get out of hand. This is a form of an argument from silence. The other party tries to figure out what the other party wants, but the silent treatment partner assumes that they should already know, and if they don't, they will suffer further consequences. Silent treatment in marriage is a failure to communicate. This kind is especially true. One is left with an open-ended question, while the other assumes that they should already know the correct answer or else. So figuring out how to stop the silent treatment and re-establish a constructive conversation ends typically with nonsensical responses such as, "You should already know." Using silent treatment could also be you are trying to communicate, "Get lost." This is the worst kind of silent treatment. It means the other party does not even care what you say, and you don't even have the right to know what they think. It is silent treatment abuse designed to show their partner is not worth their time and effort. It is no different than ignoring haters' comments on social media. However, to your spouse, silent treatment in marriage is depressing and a deliberate attempt to cause psychological and emotional harm. It is hard to figure out how to respond to silent treatment. So how do you deal with silent treatment in marriage? Dealing with silent treatment from a spouse can be challenging and confusing. Silent treatment can damage the relationship or marriage and even the person who experiences it. However, knowing how to deal with silent treatment in marriage is important. 1. You must have patience. Reacting positively to the silent treatment of emotional abuse requires patience. Responding to silent treatment in marriage with your version could collapse the relationship foundations. However, a temporary step off to allow your partner to cool down is usually the best solution. So give your partner a night or two to cool off. Can do a lot to save your relationship. And you can also take time to calm down. During this time, you do not commit infidelity, emotional infidelity included. You do not get drunk or indulge in any form of substance abuse. Another point here is that you do something constructive. Indulge in some positive activities such as going about your day or doing things you like. If you are thinking about how to win against the silent treatment, the best way is to give your partner space while preventing them from thinking that their psychological attack is working. Silent treatment of emotional abuse is a form of attack. It is subtle, but is designed to create leverage by confusing the hearts and minds of their opponents. The psychological effect of the silent treatment, if done with malice, is about control. It is a purposeful act to create a feeling of helplessness, paranoia, dependency, loss, and loneliness. It could potentially lead to anxiety and clinical depression. Silent treatment in marriage is not fair, but even married adults can sometimes act childish. So if you want to respond to silent treatment in relationship, the best way is not to respond to it at all. Ignore the silence. Go about your day. Don't do more or less than what you would usually do. If your partner is only about cooling off, the problem will solve itself. If your partner does it with malice, it will force them to try other means. But it will not be right to stay in a relationship with that kind of person. But maybe, just maybe, things will change. Silence treatment in marriage can be summed up in two. Your partner is trying to prevent a big fight or want to avoid this escalation into a big one. Always assume the first. Get out of their way and live your life. Nothing good will come out of overthinking it. So silent treatment is not the right way to handle situations, especially when done out of spite or to punish the partner. If one really needs to take time to cool off or just needs some space to clear their head, the same should be communicated to your spouse. If you give the silent treatment to your partner too often, your relationship and self-esteem might take a hit, which is definitely not something you will want. If you realize that you give silent treatment to your partner or if they point it out to you, I do not understand the way out, it might be a good idea to seek professional help. We are also here to help you, guide you through that, and to come up with actionable steps for you to take. If you like our videos, kindly subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that you get our videos as they drop.